So you have seen a leaked copy of the agenda for this meeting, and I think one of the things that you say is that the euro is at the top of it, what's going to happen to the euro. Why is that so important? Why is that at the top of the agenda?
Well, because they've been working so hard in creating this European Union, which is actually falling apart at the seams. We were watching this fall apart at the seams live and in real time, and this is one of the things of obvious concern to the Bilderbergers, because their plan is not about creating one world government, as so many people mistakenly believe, but rather creating what they call themselves the aristocracy of purpose between North American and European elites and the best ways to manage the planet. In other words, the creation of One World Company Limited. And to have the One World Company Limited, you cannot have countries, you need to have economic blocks. And to have economic blocks, you obviously need the euro for Europe to have this block as one, and obviously this euro is falling apart at the seams.
So they must be terrified about that.
Well, they're absolutely terrified, especially as, there are a lot of people out there who are suggesting that certain countries, such as Greece, for example, should just walk away, and Spain should walk away. I've been saying it for a long time. Not only that, but actually France and Germany are also threatening to walk away, unless certain steps are taken. Obviously, Germany does not want to carry the burden of this 750 billion euro bailout, of which Germany has to pay 150 billion, and we're seeing the consequences of it. That simply the people are sick and tired of what's going on, and the people are beginning to lose their fear, and that's what terrifies them more than anything else. It's not that euro can fall apart; it's the fact that people are beginning to lose their fear.
One of the things I don't understand in relation to that is that some people say that the group is exploiting the financial crisis in Greece and in Spain and other places to advance their efforts to make the IMF a world treasury. How does that all fit in?
Well, it fits in very simply because, as an example, the money that's actually is being lent to Greece is going to go right to the bankers. So Greece is going to be left with all the debt and not going to get no benefit. The same thing has happened in Russia. In the 1990s, the IMF money just went through Russia and went right back out to the bankers. And the same thing happened in Africa. Once George H.W. Bush, the father, with his famous "Read my lips, no new taxes," and he had to raise his taxes, it wasn't because it was a humanitarian gesture to help third world countries. It's because that money lent to the third world nations, Black Africa, etc., was actually going to pay the interest to the bankers, so nobody gets anything out of it but the bankers. That's how it works.
Okay, last question. You say that there's a section in the agenda on Russia and Iran, but Iran is a diversion and Russia's the key there. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is that Bilderberg, and by Bilderberg I just mean the world power who wants to control the finances of the entire world, they have two enemies, traditionally two enemies in the world. One is China, one is Russia, for obvious reasons. Historical, cultural, intellectual, ethical reasons. And neither one of these nations form part of any secret society, because Bilderberg, again, it's a Western, former NATO alliance. Militarily, China it's been proven not to be an enemy because they simply don't have the technology to fight against NATO alliance. Russians, on the other hand, are not only a formidable enemy, but have a lot of the technology that the NATO alliance doesn't have, such as, for example, the Granite missile, which flies at 2.5 Mach, which is about 2,750 kilometers per hour. So it can, with a 500 megaton nuclear warhead, which is wipe out half of the United States. So simply speaking, these are the two main enemies. So in Afghanistan right now, what most people don't realize, the United States government the United States government is building 13 secret bases. In each one of these 13 bases are bigger than any other base in the world built by the American government. Now, the Iran, in this sense, is a diversion. It's really of no interest. They understand that whether Iran has one nuclear warhead or 10 or 20, they will never, ever, go up against the United States or Israel, for that matter. What they need is an excuse, to try to destroy Russia, invade Russia through a thermonuclear war, and in the sense, the southern flank is how they're going to actually try to do this. In fact, the American government has been playing computer war games, and they've been using this, entry as a way to destroy it. In fact, it even has a name. It's called Barbarossa III. Barbarossa I was Second World War. Barbarossa II was, secret plan, which they tried to destroy Russia in the 1990s with Yeltsin, using meta groups such as Far West Company, for example, based in Ukraine. And now, once Putin took over, and after Yeltsin was literally, dropped as the president of the country for the good of the nation, then the new operation was put into effect, Barbarossa III. In this particular case, they're using another famous Russian character, Viktor Bout, who is now in prison in Thailand, awaiting fighting extradition to the United States, as another pawn in this geopolitical world game of trying to discredit Russia, because again, they need to destroy China and to destroy Russia, and then without these two nations, they can have their One World Company Limited.